All the children with us this morning to pay close attention to the gospel, because this is the week I invite you up to the sanctuary and we try to figure out what Jesus is trying to teach us. And if you're following along in your booklets, that's a little different because I'm using the children's lectionary. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus was standing on the shore of Lake Gennesaret, teaching the people as they crowded around him to hear God's message. Near the shore he saw two boats, left there by some fishermen who had gone to wash their nets. Jesus got into the boat that belonged to Simon and asked him to row it out a little way from the shore. Then Jesus sat down in the boat and began to teach the crowd. When Jesus had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Row the boat out into deep water and let your nets down to catch some fish." "Master," Simon answered, "we've worked hard all night long and have not caught a thing. But if you tell me to, I will let the nets down." They did it and caught so many fish that their nets began ripping apart. Then they signaled for their partners in the other boat to come and help them. The men came, and together they filled the two boats so full that they both began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this happen, he kneeled down in front of Jesus and said, "Lord, don't come near me. I'm a sinner." Peter and everyone with him were completely surprised at all the fish they caught. His partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were surprised too. Jesus told Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will bring in people instead of fish." The men pulled their boats up on the shore. Then they left everything and went with Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord. Let us take just a moment to pray to the Holy Spirit for each other. And now I invite the children with us to please come up and have a seat on the sanctuary stairs. I know there's a lot more out there than that. Here we go. Well, you all know how this works. First, you guess what's in the bag, and it has something to do with the readings we just heard. So does anybody want to take a wild guess? It's not a fishing net, but that would have been a good one. Anybody else? Yes?
A fish?
No, but that would have been good too.
A boat?
No, not a boat. Let's try a couple more. Good guess.
I thought it was a sailboat.
No, not quite. No, but that would have been good too. You know what this is? A cell phone. Yeah, what would that have to... Oh, excuse me. It's vibrating. I forgot to turn it off. Hello? It's God. God? What are you saying? You want me to be a priest? I'm already a priest. I've been a priest for 20 years. Oh, there's somebody else up there that you want to be a priest. Okay, we'll try to figure out who that is. I'll talk to you later, God. I got to finish this homily. Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy? If when God called us, He actually called and said, "This is what I want you to do." But it's not that easy, is it? Does anybody know what a vocation is? I just got back from vacation, but that's altogether different. A vocation is what God made you to do. God created each of you with a special plan to do something when you grow up that will make you the best person you can be and that will make the world a better place. St. Paul said in that second reading, "I persecuted Christians. I can't be an apostle." But then he said, "By the grace of God, I am what I am." Does anybody know what God's grace is? Yes?
God's will?
God's will, that's very, very close. And?
Is God's love.
God's love and will. God gives you the power to do what you need to do. So St. Paul says, I can't do this, but by God's grace I can. So, if God's calling you to do something, you pray and He'll help you to do it. What are some vocations that you can think of? What are some of you thinking about being when you grow up? Yes?
An artist.
Great, an artist.
A mom.
A mom, good deal.
A teacher.
Teacher, that's a great vocation. Okay.
A teacher.
Another teacher, good deal.
If he's just like you.
All right, perfect answer. You could not have answered any better. And I think you'll make a great one. Now, when I was your age, I felt like God was calling me to do that, but I was scared to death to be a priest. I thought, there's no way I can get up in front of those people. But once again, by God's grace, God gives you the power to do it. So when God's calling you to do something, you just keep praying that He'll give you the power. Now, there's different ways we can answer the call. What are some ways we feel unworthy when God calls us? What are some ways we think, no, I can't do that? What causes us to do that?
When you be mean to your friends.
Yeah, when you're being mean, you think, there's no way I could be a nice teacher if I'm mean to my friends. Any other ways that make us feel like we're not good enough? Sometimes we think we're not smart enough, or we don't have the talent. Yes?
Like you push somebody down and you don't help them because you're being mean.
Yeah, so you think, how can I be a good person when I grow up if I'm being mean now? But we heard two different ways to answer the call in those readings this morning. The first way was St. Peter. He was the first pope of the church. And when God called him, his answer was, depart from me, I'm a sinful man. So we all make mistakes, like you said. We all commit sins. But by God's grace, we're forgiven, and then we can have the power to do what God's calling us to do. The best way to answer is the way that Isaiah answered in the first reading. I'll bet nobody can remember what he said. When God called Isaiah, He said, here I am, Lord, send me. That's the best way to answer. Just, God, whatever you're calling me to do, I'll do it. Just give me the power. So, what are some ways you can figure out what your vocation is, what God is calling you to do?
When you feel like it's right.
That's exactly right. When you just feel it inside, you think, that's right, I'm supposed to be a teacher, I'm supposed to be a priest. What are some other ways you can figure out what God's calling you to do? Yes, sir.
You're really good at it.
Exactly. If there's things that you're good at, like if you're already good at art, you might know that you're supposed to be a good artist. And there's one more big way to figure out what God's calling you to do. How do you get in touch with God?
To love each other.
To love each other, yes, and?
To pray.
Exactly. To pray. Every morning when you get up, just say, God, show me what you want me to do today. Then before you go to bed, say, God, show me what you created me to do. So never forget that God created each of you in a special and unique way to do something powerful in this world. And that's your vocation. And if you pray about it and keep practicing, God will help you to be what He created you to be. Thank you all very, very much. You did great this morning. And as one family in Christ, let us all stand now and profess our faith together.